Okay, good morning traders, and welcome to the Bookmap All Markets Order Flow Analysis webinar. I'll be your host, Bruce, and we'll go through any market that you guys want to take a look at. We have a lot of volatility here due to the non-farm payrolls. Any market that you guys want to, and we want to go through order flow examples, and whatever trading strategy you're using, we're going to look at the order flow to enhance it. We're also going to take a look at market pulse today in more detail and how to use case scenarios for market pulse. All right, let's go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so we typically look at the S&P E-mini futures product, and that's what I have up here. Let me know if you have any questions looking at any other instruments, but we'll start here. And if anyone want to point out the non-farm payroll event, then it's pretty obvious here. 8:30 East Coast time right here. Good morning, Deborah, and Alois and Pas. Let me jump over to the Discord as well. Yep. Good morning, Rob and Stephen. Stephen, maybe we'll see if we can go over your image if we have some time later. I wanted to give you some more critical feedback on that. Anyway, and then I'll also explain a little bit more about how we go through that in the Bookmap Academy meetings, the more detail. So anyway, here's our non-farm. The number was really good. The price dropped significantly. Well, about 50 points or so. Rather quickly. Meaning that a good number is signifies a rate hike in the next FOMC meeting, and that's how a good number is actually bad for the market, and what it means trying to curb inflation here. And anyway, yeah, steep drop, continued on a little bit lower, hitting liquidity along the way, and then nice pullback move up into high liquidity up here. And then a little back and forth in here, and then looks like it's trying to continue on down now as well. Structure looks pretty good in here for continuation down into the 50 here. But there's a lot of, different market participants in here. Look at the liquidity that just filled here at 55 and now bouncing up to 60. We can see the traders' activity in here. They're getting filled in these areas here. This area at 55 as well. So we're going to see some back and forth here, it looks like. These are the transactions that took place, and it took place in multiple areas on the way down here. So is there still selling pressure? Yeah, there is. We can see it in some of these areas in here. So yeah, still looking for this kind of downside move, but what we're looking at here and want to understand is the context. These limit buy orders here, they're absorbing or taking on a lot of these sellers, and vice versa. The sellers are hitting into that liquidity. Who has more power at this time? Is the selling beginning to dry up? Understanding this range in here, and we can just very simply talk about the pattern that we're looking at here. Okay, well, we have this kind of wedge pattern here. Okay, now in that pattern, everyone knows that this is it came from this move here. We get a pullback, and we're hitting into these lower areas here, making lower highs and slightly lower lows now, or equal lows. So the pattern dictates we're going lower. Okay, now what does the volume and the liquidity tell us? Well, it makes this pattern a lot less likely, or we have reasons to believe that this will fail here. this pattern. So I would just stay away from this pattern here. Unless the one thing that I would look for is trading into this liquidity, a move back up, and then buyers up here around 56 or so. That would be a very nice setup for this pattern failing here. We see the continuation down, right? So into this high liquidity here, still looking at the figure down here, 42.50, and then 42.45 if we get this continuation, right? So and let's read this in here too. Like this has been 3-4 point move. That's kind of at the, especially during something like non-farm. This is is kind of at the edge here of continuation and the move lower here. If it was 2 to 3 points, typically we can have it fail and come back into the range and then bounce to the other side very, very easily. It's still no kind of clarity in here at the moment. This liquidity getting filled in here, we see the selling pressure, but I'm looking for this to be trapped. And I would look for that trap up in this, well, now I'd say 55 here. Okay, and I'd look for these buyers right in around here, and then a quick move probably up to about 60 or so. Looking for a big stop run as well on the way up. So right now it's just, we see that the buyer's kind of exhausted here, but we'll just see if we get another move. Okay, so, and looking for the stop run here up into well, the pattern line, as well as liquidity up here around 60, 59 and a quarter. All right, so that's one scenario. The other scenario is these guys are going to be the trap volume in here, buying this, looking for that to unfold, and we can get sellers back down around 54. Okay, so looking for one or the other at the moment here. And right now, I don't see a whole lot of buyers in here. I'm kind of leaning toward the move lower into the figure, to be honest. So let's see if we can get our red dots down here, and then high liquidity in the scenario. It would be high liquidity kind of at a lower level in here, something like that. All right, let me clear these drawings here so we can see price. And I've got to look at the bigger picture too. So we'll do that in just a second here. There's some exhaustion. There's our sellers. And do we have enough on the hook is the question from the buy side. Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not a whole lot, but we get enough sellers in here, we can get a nice move. Yeah, still staying away from it until it, like this right now. This is the we're going to see these buyers test these sellers down here. Okay, so yeah, this was scenario. It should be scenario number 2 that we're looking for in here. So playing out nicely now. We're getting those buyers up here, and now still looking for. We'll get a little bit of a pullback here, but looking for the move up into 60. Okay, so flag pattern in here. Okay, looking for, again, in a flag pattern, we're looking for buyers right around in here. Let's see if we get them. A little skew in the book. And come on, buyers. And then push it up into 60 here. Okay, so strong move, pull back, followed by another strong move in here. That's what we're looking for. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we get our buyers here. Now, or try. Let's see, with buyers right around 56 and a skew in the order book, which is hard to read at the moment. Yeah, not looking for it, but not. I just don't see it in the order book in here, so I'd kind of shy away from it. But that would be the pattern. It just doesn't look that great, so skip it and look for the next. Any questions on this, and then why we kind of passed on this? And again, this is not a trade recommendation, but we're looking for something that will more likely play out. It's actually starting to look even better now. There we go. There's our move in 60. Okay, so here's why there was a pass on this one here. Just there wasn't the clarity. Okay, it did what we thought, and you know that's why we're here, is read the order flow. But now we're going to start filtering things and looking for something that looks better. So we went through our scenarios on the way down. Any questions on that scenario, and why we were first looking for that trap and this pattern here to break, which is breaking very nicely now. Okay, the continuation of the move. This would be a take profit for me up in this area for sure, at least partial, we might get the next level up here at 70. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and like what we were reading in here and why it actually looked a little bit better up here, to be honest, than down here. All right, so in fact, we can extend this line. And we get more of an answer here, basically. All right, so we had our sellers in here. We had lots of buyers on the bid on the way down, getting filled. Okay, into high liquidity down here. It broke through the level here. This is where we kind of started off here, seeing this liquidity getting filled here, and then we kind of drew up the pattern in here, and then we went through the scenarios in here. Okay, and this was one of them. The first is continuation, always, basically. I covered that second, but that should be the first. And then the second one is looking for this to be the trap. We talked about the range in here, okay, and how it kind of fit, especially for non-farm. It's 3-4 points. 4 points is getting to the point where we can look for continuation more than reversal. Anyway, the buyers kind of moved it away here, and then we just went back and forth in here in the range, and then we're looking for those buyers. We got them in here, and they did move it, and then we're looking for our flag pattern, a pullback, and let's go through it in here. All right, so we have the buyers. Okay, they are bidding up in here. That's good. I would have liked to have seen the buy in here and the entry. A little bit more buying in here would have been ideal. It just really wasn't quite enough in here. And then we retrace all the way down and trade into this liquidity here at 55. This is where it was kind of like, yeah, this is a full retracement here. And there's a lot of selling in here as well. Okay, we don't want to see that in this flag pattern in here. Okay, so a continuation pattern. We want to see a strong move. We want to see a shallow pullback, and we want to see another strong move. Okay, so far you can look at the volume bars in here, and this tells the tale here. They are bidding up a little bit here, and this isn't bad. The volume on the sell side in here is a little bit higher than we'd like to see. We're looking for a low volume pullback. Ideally, this would have been the best in here. If we got a little bit more buyers up a little bit higher here, this would have been perfect. And then a quick move up into 60. We got a retracement. We still have sellers in here. Okay, so if we come back, retest again, it fails, sellers come back in. We get a full retracement of that breakout here. This is where it's just a lot dicier. Okay, and let me bring up the pen tool and cover why. So this is why it's a lot dicier in here. Is we have this volume here, okay, which is pretty good. But look how this volume in here really starts to become pretty strong. Especially you can see it here on this move, right? Okay, so that's not really what we're looking for in a continuation pattern. And even in here, there's a bit of volume in here. It's not that high, It would be better if it was just lower. And then we're looking for a strong move. See the volume in here on the other side in this move here? That's where we're looking for this to unfold. And we don't see such strong volume. We actually have a little bit here. I could do it here. It didn't. We got that full retracement. So this pattern has now, what we're looking for is something very simple, is now convoluted. We're going to stay away from it. Right? So it just didn't do what we were looking for. And then ultimately, yeah, we got what we wanted here. And it turned into a pretty nice move all the way. Has it hit 70 yet? No. But it could here. Still a continuation here. Strong move. Some strong volume in here on that sell side. So that kind of negates it as well. But still kind of looking for another strong move here by the buyers. And try to maybe hit 70. But we can see these guys here at 65 or so. I got to get through that first. So this might turn into a bigger flag pattern. Okay, so this flag pattern in here though, or I should say continuation pattern. This pattern in here is again, we're looking for low volume in here and then continuation. So strong move, just a mild pullback, and then strong move. Okay. These are the things to look for, and why I'm going over this in some detail here, Stephen, is I'm hoping that some of the order flow within some of these moves starts to resonate a bit. That you can start to see how what we're looking for something very specific in the order flow to really give us something more likely to unfold. Right, so that's the key here, and it's the context between buyers and sellers in this auction process that helps us determine that. And right now, yeah, we could see it. Like we could see the move that we're still looking for here. It just, we'd have to see a tremendous amount of buying back up here though. Okay, around 62. And look at all the selling coming in, and we've just retraced this. Now it may do exactly what it did over here before. It retraced all the way and some pretty strong selling in here. And then it finally worked out. Well, that didn't give us clarity. Okay. Actually, this gave us more clarity up in here. When we start to see buyers up in here, then we're looking for that move, right? So, and it did break that line, but I had that line at, back over here someplace at that time. However, we're seeing our buyers up in these areas here. Okay. Now, a little skew in the order book in here. You get a little bit in here, but it's already traded up into 60 at that point. So just kind of let that one go again. Anyway, we're looking for something good, right? And it didn't fit the criteria, so we pass. Okay, keeping it simple. When the criteria is good, we look for it, and that's the setup. Right, whatever the setup might be. In this case, we're talking about a continuation pattern, and on these smaller time frames in here. And it could have done it in here as well. We have a lot of buying back up in here, and then potential for it to unfold. We didn't get it. The sellers started to come in, and we get this full retracement here. And now, we've busted through that and continued on lower here. Right. So it's that selling in here though that gave us pause. Right. So this looks good, but these guys now note we talked about trapped volume many times over the last few weeks. It's looking to see who's on the hook. Okay, buying up in these areas, looking for that breakout, and then boy, are they on the hook. Right, so they're going to feel the pain, and actually what's interesting on that is we don't really see much of a stop run here. That would be our red line in here. In fact, we're getting the stop run to the upside now. So that's kind of curious, but anyway, anyone buying in here is feeling the pain on the way down basically. And now we're all the way back up again here, and pretty strong buying volume in here. Let me get back to YouTube here. Any questions? Sorry about this. I was going through quite a bit of things in here. Yeah, yeah, we might get a full retracement back up to where the news came out and a little bit above it. We see that a lot. It's just that for a variety of reasons. I don't know about you guys, that some really nice imagery over in the Discord chat, the All Markets chat here for this webinar. So we hold this webinar, as you guys can see in here in Discord. And then also in YouTube at the same time. So I have to respond to two different chats in here, which is great. You know, we've got YouTube and we've got Discord, and you can see a lot of the traders in here. We have a really great community. You might want to come over and check it out, and you can get a lot more insight in here. What I wanted to cover was like a lot of the images that you guys have been posting in here recently. Like here, this one from Didn't Matter. Here, I mean, trying to read the order flow, I'll just be honest, like Steven, Didn't Matter, and others. Like it's been, I have found it challenging recently. Like these are pretty big swings, and it's hard to read the behavior in here. I mean, they're just kind of all over the place. So in this one in here, let's see, Didn't Matter. Notice this in here, which is really nice. And this is where, you know, I think these some of these tools in the columns can give a lot of clarity. So here's your profile here, a composite profile. Here is a delta profile by minus sell, and look at the distinction right here. Right. So if you can get buyers back up above this area in here, this means that all of these guys are likely going to get squeezed, as he notes here. Yeah, that fueled the move to the upside. So in all of the setups we're looking for, this is one of the components we're looking for, is trapped traders. Okay? It just makes the setup easier for us. Okay? And we want to be on that side. We want as many elements on our side as possible. And this is a beautiful read in here on that. So that what it means here is that you can see around this 65.5 area here. Well, this is kind of hard to read all in here, but 65.5, these sellers down here are going to feel the pain. Buyers can take control and move that up, and that's what they did. Okay, so anyway, the main point that I was trying to cover here is it's been, I think, some of this chop is very difficult to read, and I think as well in here, I wanted to mention like just some really great imagery in here from Slowdown, very crystal clear, well documented. Like it's great stuff, and very simple. He knows exactly what he's looking for. And then I had a little bit of back and forth with him about when I first saw this image. He's got 3 images in here, but what I wanted to cover is his image here. You know, he's looking for something very specific, you know, a Wyckoff consolidation range or accumulation distribution, and then these areas outside, which are called springs. From Wyckoff, and then the move back into the other side of the range, and then continuation, potential continuation. Right. So, and this one he did not take, and he had his reasons for it, and it looks pretty good to me when I was looking at this image, but what we have the downtrend. That would kind of be scary here because you're looking for that downtrend continuation. And you really don't have, you can see another potential little spring here, or either stop run or trap volume, retest right to it, and then continuation. Same thing kind of here, except that one of the things that, I mean, it's a beautiful trap into high liquidity here. That looks good. However, look at the volume on the buy side in here. Not bad in these little areas in here, not bad. It really doesn't look good until up in here or here, to be honest. And you're already through point of control up here, and you're giving up a lot to only get like a couple of points. And then anyway, is it worth it? Well, again, like we want as much on our side as possible. And maybe this doesn't really quite exhibit enough. And in fact, this is the trade he took here. And it ended up working out. It did not come down to the first target. It came down to this area in here, around 63 or so. And then it reversed back up and then continued to the upside. So what I wanted to cover in here was some very choppy stuff again. And some of the setups in here, it is beautiful stuff. It can be a challenge in these environments. So just keep that in mind. You're looking for that crystal clear setup, and you know that you're taking on more risk if you take it, if it's not clear. All right, so we're looking for that clarity. All right, let me get to questions in here. Okay, Art, about liquidity and being a magnet. It's a very attractive thing to say and very simple. It really doesn't work like that. It's not as simple like that. Like, look right now what's happening. We just saw like high liquidity up underneath here, right in here, in fact, so actually some of it did transact, but it's repelling price basically. So high liquidity, longer term high liquidity typically acts like a magnet in the sense that this is like where the sellers are. They're up in these areas, up in here. This is where the majority of them are, 42.80, and here a little bit at 77. So buyers want to reach them. That's where the transactions can take place. Very simple. Okay. Now the question is, do we have buyers interested? And indeed we do here, right? Look at the buyers here. So they're going to go after, and likely we will get the transaction. If you have buying pressure, then you are looking for that high liquidity act like a magnet. It's just that's where the market can trade and transact in the bigger picture. All right. Now you can see that high liquidity that pops into the order book that is new to the market. That has to be kind of digested by the market, and typically it repels price. Typically, okay. Everyone knows that 42.80 is up here, and there they go. They just transacted, right? Now we knew that buyers were interested. They were buying. Look at the strong buying in here. Okay, so in these areas it does act like a magnet. Okay, it's still acting like a magnet up at 82 up here. Okay, so it's more likely to transact. Okay, because we're still finding buyers in here. Right. So anyway, that's kind of the general rule of thumb on liquidity. Okay, it's a very simple thing. If we look at the very most basic levels in here, it holds true. Where is there high liquidity in here? Well, this is kind of complex stuff, but where is there high liquidity on this time frame? Well, there's some here. Buyers took them on. They traded into them. Okay, and then they tried again in here. Do we see buyers in here or here? No, we don't. In fact, they kind of exhaust out here, and we see sellers here. Where can they trade? Well, down here. Okay, that's where it's just where these traders are bidding. So that's where the majority of the orders are. Now there's many orders in here. Okay, I have it set actually for percentage, but we'll look at actual numbers here. So 155 here, there's 60 here, there's 47 here, there's 48 and 83, right? So but this is 155. So the majority of them, even in this 1 point range in here, they're here. Okay, so did they trade? Did they transact? No. And look what happened here. This trader, now this is one individual actor, pulled his liquidity here and added it higher, or some of it. Not all of it. It looks like just some of it, right? What was the reaction to it? And then he looks like he pulled some of it here and added it here. Okay, and then some transactions did take place in here. Okay, so maybe this trader in here is his game to try to spoof to get, you know, price higher. Is he interested in transacting? Yeah, it looks like some of it was partially transacted in here, so it's not a spoof anymore. Anyway, the point is, on all of these time frames in here, you need a buyer for the seller and vice versa. Okay? And it happens between liquidity and the aggressors, right? And that's what we're reading in here. So on this scale in here, it is the same thing as it is on this scale here, looking for that 82 and 80 and 82 to transact. Okay, which they already have, and we're already back above it here, near 85 liquidity. Now let's read the context up here. Are we still finding a lot of buyers? Yeah, enough, right? What about the sellers? Oh, there's some. So you see how it's kind of back and forth in here now? That's something different. Now look at this up here. Do we find buyers interested in that liquidity here? Not really. Not really. So things are either slowing down, or we have to have a tremendous amount of buying trade up into it. Okay, which is what that scenario looks like it's about to unfold, and we'll see though. Yeah, I mean, see how we're reading that context in here? The context here was much easier, right? We're still finding buyers. We're looking for these areas of higher liquidity to transact. Here it's back and forth, and it still hasn't transacted yet. Right, so that's what we're reading. How much the buyers want that, make that transaction here. And now it looks pretty good. Looks like we traded into some liquidity in here. We still had buying pressure, and we see even more buyers up here. Okay, well, yeah, it was looking pretty good. Well, that doesn't look too good anymore, and that was hard to read. Sellers all of a sudden come in and push it down lower. This is why we want to go through our kind of like a checklist in here and understand the context in here. This is why one of the pieces of the in the checklist is high liquidity, bidding up at a higher level here. Okay, we have our buyers, we have the liquidity target here, and they seem to be interested at this point. Do we see like some sort of skew in the order book? And if we don't, it's very easy for sellers to if it's kind of dark in here, like it is, it's very easy to sellers to hit the bid into this liquidity. And then a lot of times we will see another retest back up to here, okay, which is actually unfolding right now. Okay, so it was looking good, but no, we didn't have that buying underneath. Look at it, here we have it. And then what was the reaction to this? Well, we found our buyers. So this transaction looks pretty good. Now, look, this is hard to trade. It's doable. And it's only a few ticks in here, but it's the concept. Okay, that this high liquidity comes in. This wasn't here before. Okay, but these were. Okay, the reaction to this high liquidity repelled sellers, and we found buyers. And they skewed the order book. There was all of a sudden this kind of skew in here. See the skew? So like if we go here, we see we don't see any buying liquidity here, but we know 84 and a quarter and 85, it looks pretty good. Do we have buyers? Not yet. Not at all. Right? We see sellers in here. Okay. Now we come back up. Here's our skew. There it is right there. See this? Okay, and we can see it in the heat map here too. What's the reaction to that? Okay, this happened very, very quickly though. Right? Well, they're hitting it. I see them hitting it. So I'm looking, if they're going to lift the offer here due to this liquidity here, and they don't want it, the sellers aren't interested, then the buyers have control to move it up into these levels here. Okay, that concept holds true on all time frames. right? So anyway, yeah, understanding art, exhaustion and absorption are really key. Okay, this is something that Bookmap does a really, really exceptional job. So it's this context art. That's what we're talking about. Gold made us move back to non-farm payroll start. Wow. Alois, I didn't know you were trading gold. Okay. Yeah, and let's you know, we were going through that example of a flag pattern and what to look for in terms of the order flow, and we didn't get it right. We're looking for something very specific, and we didn't quite get it. And instead, this turned out to be a really nice move here. But you know, if you got in here, well, you probably got stopped out down here. You may have. And you don't know. You know, you don't know if sellers are going to hit this harder or not and trade into the figure here. Okay, but we do know once we see that volume start to come in on that buy side, you can see how this did act like a magnet. Okay, the buyers wanted it. Okay, so we can look for a variety of things in here. You can see that the selling in here. See the selling in here? That's the majority of it. It actually started up here, right? Well, look where the buying really started to really add up in here. Okay, so that's where we're going to get our stop run. Well, this actually was a bit of a stop run above here. Okay, and you're going to see more stop runs though, and you can see that up in here as buyers continue to lift the offer. All right. Yeah, I totally agree, Art, that this is something like I think really people should be using some sort of tool like this to help their setups, optimize their setups. I mean, look, let me just try to go through a simple example to illustrate this. Is candlestick patterns. Actually, I love doing this. Here, this candlestick pattern here, this is a continuation candlestick pattern, right? Buyers, higher buy, like, okay, back in here. But if we get up here and close, okay, yep, we're looking for 90 in the candlestick pattern, right? Okay, so now let's look at the order flow in here. Well, they got to get through 88 here. And do we see enough buyers? It's starting to. It's not bad. They're starting to ramp up here. And then what about underneath here? Yeah, they're bidding up a little bit up in these areas here. Okay, I would love to see another big skew, another big green dot in here, and then inevitable that we will get the breakout. Not inevitable. Nothing is guaranteed here in trading, but we're just taking this candlestick pattern, understanding these wicks and this kind of pattern in here. Now, what about the opposite scenario in here, right? What about a potential trap in here? This is looking beautiful too, just beautiful, right? So this would your wick here, that would be all your trap volume. Okay, and you'd be looking for sellers to drive it back down into the middle of the range in here of these two candles, something like that. So this would be your target down here, right? So now, if that's the idea, well, then what is that going to look like in the order flow? This is what it's going to look like. We're going to see sellers here, right? We're going to see the order book kind of come down. It's starting to come down. What's the reaction? Read the context. Okay, so there's more supply here. We're getting our sellers. All right, sellers. Okay, now hit the bid down into 83 and a quarter. And then we've identified what's within this candle here. We identified the order flow in here. Okay, And then that's where you could just make better decisions based on what's in the order book and the relationship of that and the aggressors. Okay, so there's the move into 83, just based off of that. Okay, and that's a candlestick reading, a candlestick pattern. Okay, so we went through two scenarios even on the candlestick pattern. All right, so even looking pretty good for a move down to here, bottom of the range of the candlesticks. So this was the first one though, and I would have taken some off here at this 83 and a quarter. I don't understand. We all know of laying indoors. Correct. Say leading indicator. Okay. All right. So you're using some sort of uh, uh, text correction software there. Leading indicators. Yeah. I mean, well, Bookmap is. I mean, the order book is the present. No question about it. And is it a leading indicator? I mean, compared to, it doesn't lag. That's for sure. This is all pure price action. And this is the current market right now. Everything to the right of the vertical white line. All right. So yeah, the order book here has tremendous impact on price. I mean, it has to. This is the market's made up of orders. It's as simple as that. Without orders, then all these patterns, everything doesn't make any sense. There has to be orders. So understanding the behavior or reaction to the behavior of the orders is where we get our clues. Yeah, and I really have a hard time with indicators, as you guys know. I mean, we can look at cumulative volume delta, trying to get more insight in from some of these areas. Here's kind of an equal high here, but look at the selling, so it's divergence and everything. But for me, like, it doesn't matter if there's divergence in here or not. If we get our buyers up in here and we see a skew in the order book and you see big buying in here, I'm looking for the flush through to the upside here. I don't care about divergence. I care about this in here. Yeah. So yeah, that anyway, like the candlestick patterns, the regular kind of patterns like head and shoulders and flags and double tops and whatever, they're all made up of the order flow. Your volume profile, it's all made up of the order flow, okay, or transactions. So it's just a different way of visualizing it. All right. Well, let me move on here, and I wanted to get into Market Pulse and some examples for you guys because we went through now some candlesticks, other patterns, and let's get into Market Pulse. And we haven't even looked at our bigger picture yet as well. So this is interesting here. Yeah, we might get that full retracement here. This is just brutal for a lot of traders. Oh yeah, look at the non-farm. I'm going short, and this is where they're getting margin calls on the way back up. Yikes! Just grinding people out. Stop runs all the way up. All right. Let's see, what else did I want to cover in here? Let me go back to Discord. And yeah, I just wanted to say thanks everybody for like really great imagery there in Discord. Um, Great discussion. I love it. Like we have a lot of stuff going on in here. Stan's been doing some great work, and slowdowns are exemplary. This is the gold standard. If, looking for things like this and being crystal clear on what you're looking for, and then documenting it this way. And yeah, Froth also doing great work. We went over one of his images in detail, and then didn't matter. Yeah, it's also looking very good. I did have some suggestions to look deeper into why these moves unfold due to the order flow. This was a tough, your accumulation phase image in here. It's a tough one, I thought. Okay, this one I loved. You saw this liquidity pressing down here. Here again this is the reaction to this liquidity in here affecting price. Okay, finding sellers. See how this liquidity repelled the buyers, and what did they do? They trade into liquidity down here and here, and through it. Sellers trade into it and through it. Okay, so you can even look for the potential. I think you were maybe alluding to this area here, where those sellers really came back in. That's where they will be out of control in the move to the upside, and then you can look for that the stop runs to the upside. That's a little bit bigger picture stuff, but yeah, accumulation phase, and then also another nice image here on the trapped sellers in here. Beautiful stuff. Okay, so anyway, yeah, my comment on it was just look at this context between the order flow and the traders, the aggressors. Okay, the order flow meaning the limit buy and sell orders. That's where you'll learn so much. You're doing a great job in here on the higher time frame structure. All right. So anyway, guys, if you are interested in this, then this is what I would suggest is you can come to this web page here. I'll put the link into the chat. We're going to be getting more involved into the Bookmap Academy, and I keep on mentioning it in here. But it really is a win-win for everybody. So read through this page and what the program is about, and then you can sign up down here. And you can get Bookmap for free if you go through the steps in here and create great content. It's kind of a way for you to document and journalize your trading. So that's a win for you. It's a win for us because you're using Bookmap and you're learning Bookmap, and we're getting good traders. And we're happy to help along the way. That's what the Academy is all about. That's the heart of it. And then we're happy to also give you Bookmap for free once you get to the Academy level here. And then you can become a coach and you can become a streamer. So we have this kind of onboarding process if you're interested to become a more professional trader. And I'll put that into the chat here. Just a second. Oh, okay. Thanks, Dan. It looks like Dan beat me to it there. Yep. All right. All right. So anyway, really love the discussions in here. Good stuff. All right. Let me double back here. Let me just take a break here and we'll look at the bigger picture. Okay. Our candlestick chart. We're filling the gap right now, or we just did. So we got our retracement basically. We filled the gap. That's rather amazing to see the gap filled on that non-farm. You can see that wicked move here to the downside. Guys, just to the wicked move alone, just look at this on the 15-minute chart and look at the hourly chart here. Where did it go? To the bottom of the range here. Okay, and pretty immediately. I mean, it took 5, 10, 15 minutes or so to get down there. and then we see this retracement, almost, all the way back here. Okay, so let's look at the it hasn't made it all the way back, but it's definitely filled the gap, okay, from yesterday, right? So we're going to see a bit of a slowdown in here, and some back and forth probably. Right, so some of the easy moves are kind of finished right now. We're turning into more range bound, it looks like. Anyway, let's get back to that bigger picture, and then I want to go over market pulse in more detail. Okay, so we have our daily here, and yeah, it's really choppy within the daily range here. Both sides of the wicks here on the daily. So I don't really know what to say on the daily. Not looking for much, basically. Hourly, it's already done the kind of easy move after rejecting down here and the move back in. And then in here, look at this chop, this back and forth in here. It's wicked stuff. Huge wicks. And then finally this drive here that we were watching at the very initial beginning of that move. And then we didn't like it and passed on it. It was in here. And then it looked better actually at a higher level. And then that was if you we weren't looking at that higher time frame level at that time, but if you start to look for some of or see some of those things on that higher time frame, and that's what you're trading, well, you can capture it. Yeah, it's yeah, kind of. We were just looking, kind of more zoomed in here, looking at the and going through the details of what to look for in that flag pattern or continuation pattern. All right, so kind of missed the bigger picture here, but that's what happens when you're looking at more details. All right, so keep that in mind. Like, it depends on the time frame that you're trading and what you're looking at. Okay, I mean, you can take, like, for example, Stephen, you can take something very simple. I don't know if you have history of looking at candlestick patterns, but understanding your candlestick patterns on the higher time frames, and then looking at the order flow and Bookmap, okay, and marry those two together. Okay, and then look for specific elements, very much like what Slowdown was illustrating. Very specific elements for his pattern. One of the things with the kind of funny with the Wyckoff accumulation distribution, I saw in a few images that people were posting in this, looking for these springs. I mean, basically the way that I've been going over it, hasn't been Wyckoff or it hasn't been a spring. It's more like either trap or exhaustion below a range, or total absorption. And then you're looking for the move back into the range, basically from the outside to the inside. If it can get through that point of control, it is way more likely to trade to the other side of the range. Okay, so up in here would be kind of we see a stop run up here, right, up into this area here. Is there new buying that comes in? No. We see the selling starting to come in here, okay, and then the move lower. Now, one of the things, though, to be kind of aware of in here, like, is this the same thing? Well, it's fitting the pattern, but now what kind of scares me, and it's not something I would take. And Slowdown, I'm actually kind of curious about how you look at this in here, is because what we have is this reversal pattern shaping up. So, this looks, I mean, here, this could be a continuation in here. What we get, a stop run and the sellers come in, so you can look for the move to the center of the range and then the other side of the range. But now lower highs, lower lows, and we can kind of see a head and shoulders or rounding top, and then we can get this move to the downside. So buying in here, is it, I don't know how you make that distinction in the spring. I mean, typically what we've covered in here is like you get this reversal pattern. Let me just illustrate it here. We get this reversal pattern in here. And let's just say this is a head and shoulders or whatever it might be, rounding top. And then we do get that initial move. Hold on. We do get that initial move here, and this would be leg 1, pull back, and now we're looking for leg 2, right? But we don't get the full leg 2. What we get instead is just a retest here, and then we get a move like this back to point of control, typically back to the top of the range and typically, and then we get the other side of the range up in here, and potential continuation at that point. So this is where we get the failure in here. Usually something like this, it's if we see the reversal pattern in here fail. So that's typically what we've covered. So we look for that. We don't get enough buyers for the extended move on the second leg lower. So maybe not enough distribution has occurred. Anyway, all right. So let me see if any questions. Let's see. Thanks didn't matter. Cam, you're talking about Bookmap Academy, see who's applying. Yeah, sure. I mean, we had a meeting last Friday in the afternoon and reviewed some trades, and we had a Jack come on, and he went through some imagery, some of your guys' trades, and then I went through a few, and it's an open mic. Froth came in and spoke about what he was looking for in there. So this is a part of the process in here. And this is what we want to open up to you guys. Now we're just starting it. We've had it actually for a while, but we're just opening it up into this new direction here, which I think has a tremendous value. And getting some coaching, getting some feedback, so you guys will learn at a quicker rate and get up to speed. And like I said, it's a win-win. Good morning, Joe. Yeah, Joe, I think take a look at some of Slowdown's images. He really knows what he's looking at. It's very, very clear to him. In fact, Slowdown, did you take this one? I wouldn't have. This is, like I said, it's. I'm kind of looking for the move to the downside at this point here. We didn't even get this kind of double bottom, and then we just see buyers just come right back in. Okay, now we haven't gotten there yet. It hasn't really followed through yet, but it's just actually it kind of has. I mean, I would say this is the top of the range here, not necessarily here, because we know this is a stop run up in here. So for me, this would be the top of the range around this kind of 87 ish area, and it's done it already, 87.5. This is typically what we see, though. It's not one move leg down and then a move back up. I would imagine Slowdown may, if he got in, like I know he likes to get in early on these and then take a small loss if it doesn't work out, which is great. To me, due to the volume in here on that buy side, I still see more selling. But once we see the buyers back up above it, like in here, it looks pretty good to me. Okay, and then do we have an order book supporting it? Not really. So that's not good. So see, you can see this is a little more convoluted in here. So far, this high liquidity coming in here, and high liquidity up here at our 90 to 91 level. Yeah, Art, you can join. Just click on that link there. I mean, you know, it's content on Bookmap, so you do need to have Bookmap. Let me show you something also. For information on learning Bookmap, let me guide you to the Learning Center. So go to bookmap.com, click on the More button here, and then hit Learning Center here. Okay, and then in here, this is how to get connected, getting started. These videos in here, I would highly recommend starting with some of these after you get connected. This is a small course on Bookmap. It starts with 3 elements on the chart, how to add symbols, how to navigate your chart, how to display elements, then talks about volume, liquidity, heat map, the columns, many on the columns, the subchart, how to trade, use the trading features in Bookmap, the drawing tools, and then saving and configuring charts. All right, so they're very short videos, but they're very informative, and it'd probably take about an hour and a half to go through them all, but you don't have to go through them all. You know where the resource is, so if you have a question about something, you can probably find it here. Okay. And then this market mechanics course also, like we had kind of talked about it, Art, about some of the mechanics in here earlier. This goes through in detail. I would highly recommend this, that you go through this this course here. Here it is here, like what we were just talking about, but an illustration of what we were talking about. Okay, what's on the bid, what's on the offer, what are the market mechanics that make this market work between buyers and sellers, and this course will go through it. At least part 1 was what I recommend to start with. Slow down, please tell me you were in this. I would love to hear it, and I'd like to also hear where, like, did you get in here around this kind of 80 and a half, or did you wait a little higher, 82 and a half? I'm sure you probably took some off at maybe 87, and then for sure up here at 90, and maybe you're still in it. I don't, maybe Slowdown's not in here. Yeah, he might be gone. Yeah, anyway, guys, you know how I feel about it. Like this to me looked like that continuation, that rounding pattern. It totally failed, and we're getting that continuation to the upside. The thing that I look for is the double bottom on that, the retest, exhaustion into high liquidity here. I have a hard time reading this one where it's just one move down and then the move back up. Okay. Looks like my mic was off for a while there, guys. Sorry about that. Yikes. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Wow. This is, it looks like the slowdown, you took this to the upside here. That played out beautifully. Yeah, this scenario just didn't play out, and I was looking for this, and that was all I'm looking for. I didn't even cover the other uh, scenario here. Yeah, I was basing it off of this behavior in here, market pulse, and then looking, and then we also had that high liquidity in here too. So we had a lot of factors in here to look for this one scenario here. Look at the selling come across again. All right, so this might be the opposite one here. So here's a spring on one side and possibly another on the other side here. We should have a stop run up there. Yes, big one. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, you took it earlier. Hey, I mean, this is another factor. I mean, staying nimble, open to these changes in context. You can see like it's required of us as traders. And if you cannot, well, then just look for one. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Uh, you know, uh, uh, that kind of nimbleness comes later. It's hard enough to look for something very specific and know your setup and know your trade. Well, we had our reasons. I mean, for looking for this downside move here. There was one thing we didn't like was that 4,300 had not transacted yet, and usually it does. That I didn't like. So this larger player across all three markets was selling in here, and larger players. And before the figure here, so maybe that's just exiting. Here's the way the move through, and then still looking for when sellers are going to enter this market. Here they go. So now this might be the potential selling moving into the market at this point. Let's take a look at it. Again, we got market pulse telling us that here, and here. And looking for a continuation to hit that bid here. Boy, that was a 10-point or 8-point move through. 8.5-point move. Yeah. Next one who says bad for inflation. let's do etc. Let's do the opposite. Yeah, well, that's why, like, these kinds of moves in here, it's again back to that staying nimble part, and looking for something very specific. It's kind of like that's where you want to like have clarity, and you know exactly what you're looking for, and that's really all that matters, no matter what the fundamentals might be. Now, if fundamentals are a part of it, then that's something else. You're looking for it to go along with the fundamental move in the order flow, and that's fine. But you can see that if let's just zoom out and let's look at our bigger picture here. This is what has happened. This is pretty wicked stuff. Here's our non-farm, in the gap. Not only did we fill it and then see a little back and forth in here, we saw the move way through it on up through the figure, and it's still going here so far. We see 3 big green candles here. All right, and then up in this area up in here before the figure, just before it here, we had our reasons for looking for those sellers, and we had a lot of technical things looking for it as well, and it didn't play out. And there's still a lot of momentum in these, well, at least in these candles here. But boy, I think that's going to be about it. Like, I would really be zooming in here in Bookmap now and looking for what's going to happen up here. I'm looking for a move back into some of these areas here. All the stops, all the people that sold in here, they've got to be out of the market by this time. Okay, so now, and look at this climb, it still continues to climb. So anyway, we just wait and look for something that gives us our insight here. And we're just left holding the bag here, or not holding the bag, we just left at the station here looking for this scenario, and it didn't play out. Yeah, crazy move. All right, guys. Well, I gotta run, and I've got another meeting to go to, a call to go to. But we went through a lot of different things in here, and trying to focus on understanding this context between the liquidity and the aggressors, so that we can really understand what's happening within the market structure. And it's the order flow that's going to give us that understanding. And then we have something that aligns with us, putting risk on at that point. So anyway, that was, and we wanted to go over that with Market Pulse in here, trying to get deeper insight with correlated markets and looking at specific behavior by the aggressors in here. Art, you signed up. Okay, excellent, for that Bookmap Junior Academy. So you applied to it, basically. That's the first step. Now, what you need to do is go into our Discord channel. Is the next step here, and you should get an email by now, and it will request that you come into this room here, Academy Applicants. Click on that, and then you got to request your spreadsheet in here. The reason we do that is we need to have you in our Discord, as well as signed up in our CRM. All right, the Discord is the hub for everything. That's our discussion group, or our chat. All right. So yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch up next week. I'm actually going to be away, but I'll see you in the chat rooms, etc. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, or give us a like on this if you like this kind of content. We're happy to go through it, and we'll see you. We'll see you next time. Okay. Thanks for coming.